Have we any apologies? Oh, yeah, sorry. The fire evacuation. There are no planned fire alarms scheduled at this time. Therefore, should the fire alarm go off, please make your way out of the building via the nearest fire exit to the car park beside the Windmill Public House. Please ensure that the microphone directly in front of you is switched on and logged in. Please do not move the microphone from its set position, and when speaking, ensure the microphone is directly in front of you and not to the side or up high. Thank you. Have we any apologies?
We have apologies from Councillor Parker.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest any members wish to declare? So I'll move on to the minutes of the meeting of the 4th of June. It's not here. 24th of June. Are we content with the minutes as a true record of what took place? So accept those. Thank you. So we can move on to the staff strategy progress report. And can I invite Layla Doman to present her report?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. So the first report this morning that I'm putting before you is the staff strategy progress report. So just a little bit of background as a recap. This was adopted in December 2023, so 2 years ago now. When we met in June 2025, we reviewed the remaining actions in light of the impending local government reorganisation and removed a couple that we thought were no longer appropriate, and a full revised plan including, well, not including those removals actually, excluding those that we removed is shown in Appendix 1. So, as part of our terms of reference, we agreed that we would report progress to the Employment Committee twice a year. We did so in June. This is the second report for this particular year. And if I can just point your attention to Appendix 2, that shows a high-level spreadsheet of what is achieved and what's in progress. We have 18 projects that have been delivered so far, with 9 in progress and a number which aren't due to be started yet. What I wanted to do really today, though, was to provide you with some additional detail about the outputs of what we have delivered. And so if I can ask you to refer to Appendix 3, which is the large fold-out spreadsheet with yellow and green highlights. I don't intend to go through all of these, but I will just highlight for you some of the actions.
Sorry, Layla, it's page 11.
Yeah, my page 11 is not what you've done.
Yeah.
No. It definitely needs to be on A3 to be readable. So what you'll see here is a repeat in the first column of all the actions that were agreed, but what I've done in column 5 is detail out actually what that means in reality. At JCNG yesterday I did go through this line by line, but that took quite a long time, so I'm just going to point out some of the things that have been particularly beneficial, and then afterwards, if there are any other questions, we can have a look at those. So the first thing I wanted to mention was number 6, which was our work around the Armed Forces Covenant. You'll recall that we signed the covenant as an authority last November. Since that point, we have implemented an Armed Forces Champion Group, which has got representation from across the authority, particularly in Housing and Communities team, our communications team. We have also a representative of the Armed Forces, and the portfolio holder for Housing Revenues and Customer Services, Councillor Coles, also joins us on that group, along with a representative from the Veterans Contact Point, who were originally established in Nuneaton but have recently expanded into South Warwickshire. As part of this work, we've now achieved the Bronze and the Silver Employer Defence Recognition Scheme award. You might recall that a lot of the work that we needed to do for that had already been done. We were already working towards best practice in terms of annual leave for reservists and commitment to that particular group. But things that we've introduced particularly are the guaranteed interview scheme, which now applies to applicants from the armed forces who meet the minimum criteria for a role. We are actively using 2 armed forces portals for encouraging recruitment, and really, this is the work of the housing and the communications team. They've created a fantastic signposting leaflet, a trifold leaflet, which is available on reception, and our housing colleagues are taking that along to meetings where they've identified that somebody is from the armed forces, and it's a really, really helpful signposting document. I'd also like to mention points 7 and 8. So you'll recall when we were starting the work on the staff strategy, one of the big drivers for us was to try and address some of the issues we had, both around the ageing demographic in our particular workforce, but also in respect of being able to grow our own talent, linking to some of the difficulties that we'd got around recruitment. So I'm really pleased to tell you that we now have a formal apprenticeship scheme. We were able to receive funding for 3 apprentice starts initially, of which one was in democratic services, and my colleague Angus is here today. And we are currently interviewing for apprentices in our building maintenance and our print and graphic design teams, which is fantastic. And we've also done some work around encouraging existing employees to consider using the apprenticeship framework for their own personal development, and we've got 2 individuals progressing in that respect. So that is really pleasing. And really hand in hand with that, we introduced the career graded post scheme. And the aim of this really was to be able to bring people into trainee posts. But apprenticeships, when they come in, they're not guaranteed a position at the end. We very much hope we'll be able to find them a position, but it's not a guarantee. With the career graded post, this takes somebody through a trainee position right the way through to the post that they are training for. And we have a couple of those up and running now already, one in elections and one in environmental and operational services, so Craig Bourne's area, looking at waste recycling, those areas. And we are currently developing 2 further ones, one in building control that will take somebody from being an assistant building control officer right up to being fully qualified, and also legal services to provide a stepping stone from the trainee solicitor post. So somebody's done their degree, they come in and do their 2-year training programme. Often that's a very big step up to a solicitor post, so a bit of a stepping stone in between, and what we hope is that that will encourage people to stay with the authority. So that's something we're particularly proud of. Point 10, we've implemented an agency framework, so you'll recall that we were engaging agency workers really just on a call-off basis from individual agencies, which wasn't getting us the best value for money in terms of having to pay rate card rates, and we were also having to pay temp to perm fees. The new agency arrangement that we've got is pre-negotiated rates and also no temp to perm fees, so that's been really, really helpful. On that page, just lastly there, the relaunch of the Respect Champions group, I wanted to give a special mention to. You'll know that we've done over the last 5 years or so a lot of work around respect, integrity, equality, diversity, inclusion, all of those sorts of areas. That had gone a little bit quiet over the pandemic, so we have relaunched that group, and we've already got some amazing achievements, which is that we have neurodiversity awareness training organised for line managers and staff, and in fact the first of those sessions kicks off this afternoon. We have commissioned some allyship training, which we're going to roll out to all staff, and we're working towards commissioning some anti-harassment training, which links to the legislative changes that we had at the end of last year. Just turning the page then, just a couple of things over the page, and again, these two are very linked. So points 14 and 15, the employer branding project and the recruitment methods and channels, again, linked to the fact that we were recognising that we were having difficulty with recruiting and attracting people in, and really wanting to make sure that we could sell the USP of Stratford, which when we did focus groups with staff told us was around the culture in particular, this organisation having a very different culture to other local authorities, very supportive, very keen on development. And so we wanted to make sure that we could absolutely sell that to people. So we've developed an employer value proposition statement, which sounds really complicated, but actually is just a document that details out all of the benefits that people get from working with the council, not just the financial side, but the non-financial benefits as well. I do hope you've all watched the Working for Stratford introduction video, which stars our very own Chief Executive David Buckland, and also showcases our beautiful district. That was a piece of work which the comms team worked with on us, and that's really fantastic. We've updated a range of our corporate values imagery, and so thank you to the staff that volunteered to be part of those photo shoots. And we have redeveloped the landing page for careers on the website with far more information to make the whole process of applying for a job at Stratford more straightforward and accessible. And then alongside that, the recruitment methods and channels project really looked at whether we were putting ourselves in front of the right candidates. So were we putting our adverts out into the right places? We have tested a range of different job sites. We've engaged in the national rollout that the Local Government Association had in relation to their careers programme and also the regional careers programme. And we've actively developed some really great partnerships with some of the local universities and Job Centre Plus, and generally updated all of our templates so they look and feel more modern and again accessible. So it's a little bit of a canter through, and there's a lot on there, but I'm happy to take any questions anybody's got on any of those projects.
Any questions or comments? Councillor Parry.
Thank you. Leila, I would just like to say, and obviously offer my congratulations to your team, I've actually noticed a significant improved profile raising of career development here, particularly through the digital communication portals on X and through Facebook. I'm not a great user of social media, but if I've happened to notice it, then I think it's working. So well done to you and the team, because I think the district, particularly from a staffing point of view, has come of age. So well done. Terrific lineup of achievements. Thank you.
Any other questions? Comment? Councillor Shen.
Just one very quick one. I'd echo what Councillor Parry said, but just a quick one on the agency fees, because this may obviously be an issue, a bigger issue going forward. Does the contract that you have, well, actually, ignore that bit. When I look at the fees, does that apply across the range of job vacancies, if you like? So if we say we had an agency solicitor or an agency planner, and you turn them and manage to take them from temp to permanent, does that, what you mentioned here, that there wouldn't be a fee, does that apply in all instances? Probably haven't put that very elegantly, but you probably got the message.
If I can reply through you, Chair, I think I understand what you're saying, which is that in any case where we've got an agency worker that we're bringing onto the permanent establishment, have we now waived those fees across the board? For anybody that's been engaged with us through the agency framework, yes. However, there are a small proportion of agency workers where the agency framework is not able to supply workers, and this is particularly in the housing area. So the framework that we use is actually an NHS framework, which suits us very well. We have a lot of duplication of roles, but in housing in particular, they are often not able to fulfil those areas, in which case we have to go outside of the framework, and then we're back to individual negotiation on individual contracts. But generally, in the main, those fees are waived, and as you can imagine, they are normally quite large fees, so that's a real achievement.
Councillor Littlewood.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for the report and clear direction of change. It's very, very positive, and I too have noticed the difference of the presentation. In fact, I probably get a notification from Facebook every week, so I think that's very positive. One question, though. Looking at the defence recognition scheme, the message is getting out there, but the question is, have we actually interviewed anybody for posts yet? And if we have we actually appointed anybody through that scheme yet, please?
Thank you, Councillor Littlewood, through you, Chair. So we're early on in our journey. To cut to the bottom line, we haven't actually appointed anybody yet. However, what we've done is that we now on our application form ask people to declare, and we are seeing slowly the increase in numbers coming from the armed forces. We have interviewed a number already, but not made it quite through to appointment stage. But what I would say is that I think this is incremental. So what we need to do is increase our profile slowly. The more we do, the more we will get that reputation for being supportive of the armed services, and our work with the Veterans Contact Point. A lot of people coming out of the armed forces are engaging with Veterans Contact Point, and they are now aware of everything we're doing and can recommend it. So what I would hope is that in the next year or so we will see a difference. My slight caveat to that is that not all of our roles are appropriate, and for example the portals that we're using, they've asked us not to send them all roles but only roles which they think are appropriate. So particularly they are interested in seeing roles that are IT or digitally related, roles which are related to construction, surveying, project management, those sorts of things, which are typically the transferable skills that they're seeing coming through.
Councillor Brown.
Yes, in a similar area. Congratulations for getting the bronze and the silver. What do we have to do to get gold?
Through you, Chair. So in actual fact, we meet most of the gold criteria already, but one, which is that you must employ at least one person from the armed forces. And so we're not there yet, but what I can tell you is that we actually meet most of the criteria already. So from a best practice point of view, we're there, but we just need to get that appointment. But of course, that appointment needs to be because they're the right person for the job, not just because we want to bring somebody in.
Councillor Littlewood, do you have a follow-up?
That was my question.
Councillor Shenton.
Thank you. Just one final question from me. Looking at that, I know when this table was first published a couple of years ago, I was amazed at how many items were on there, and didn't think you'd get even halfway through at one point, because just so much going on. However, I've got to congratulate you because this is so well advanced. But if I look at items 25 to 28, which are programmed for this year, do you feel that those will be completed by the end of our financial year or municipal year?
Through you, Chair. Good spot, Councillor Shenton. So those last couple we are a little running behind on, and that is because, as you know, HR is predominantly a reactive profession, and we have been exceptionally busy with recruitment and reactive casework, which has limited our ability to progress some of these, but we are absolutely committed to trying to get those done by the end of the financial year if we can, and we're making some good progress.
Okay, any more questions, comments?
I just wanted to place on record that although I'm here talking to you all, it is far from only my work that has gone into this. It is absolutely a team effort, and arguably the team have done significantly more than me, so I wanted to place on record my thanks to the team for a fantastic job well done.
And I'm sure we, as a committee, can all reflect your views and send out congratulations as well. Thank you.
I'm sure we'd all endorse that. I'd like to recall that. The recommendation is that the committee note the report. Could I have a proposer? Councillor Coles, seconded Councillor Parry. All those in favour? Anyone against? We move on to the workforce report and ask Leila Doman again to present it.
Thank you, Chair. So in front of you, you have the workforce report, which comes to you twice a year. The terms of reference for the Employment Committee ask us to report to you some key workforce data. So I'll take you quickly through, and then if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. So during the period that we're looking at here, which is the 1st of April to the 30th of September this year, we had one compulsory redundancy and one voluntary redundancy. The details of those are on an exempt paper, so if we wish to take questions on that, we'll do that at the end and we'll go into exempt session. There are, as you know, a number of decisions which are delegated to the head of paid service in relation to the establishment. So these are decisions where the proposals are within the existing budgetary framework and where there are no compulsory redundancies. These are detailed out for you in Appendix 1. And then just in terms of the general establishment position, our establishment actually has remained pretty stable over the last 12 months or so. As at the 30th of September, our full-time equivalent was 295.17, and we had a head count of 333, which is largely where we've been for the last couple of years. In terms of vacant posts detailed in 1.7, again, at the 30th of September, we had 27.72 FTEs of permanent establishment hours. What I would clarify with this is that this is not 27 posts which are not being advertised. Of those vacancies where there are full posts, they're largely in live recruitment campaigns at the moment, and the remainder tend to be small amounts of hours where staff have been given permission to reduce hours under the flexible working scheme, and so they might be, for example, 7.4 hours from a particular post where you wouldn't actually go ahead and recruit. So that really is the general overall picture. I'm happy, Chair, to take any questions.
Any questions or comments? It does seem to me that whatever we're doing, we're being pretty successful in terms of retention of staff in general. And given the context we're currently working in, I think that's a real achievement. Councillor Shenton.
Just to poke a little bit of fun into this, I'm looking at the table of employees. I think it's appendix. Well, it's one of the appendices. I'm working off the appendix 1. I noticed that all the various areas of the business have got, if you like, I've got vacancies of one kind or another, except for the
Sorry,
chief executives.
Councillor Shenton, are you working off appendix 1?
Are you on page 17, Ian, of the agenda?
Or appendix 2? The green one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Appendix 2.
Is that the? I can't.
It's kind of a greeny grey colour.
Yeah, it probably is appendix. Yeah, appendix 2.
Appendix 2 then. Please carry on.
On the same page now.
Yeah. So as I say, it's just to poke a little bit of fun that we've got some vacancies there. The largest would be in the head of law and governance by the looks of it, which is about 14% down. Is that position likely to improve, or are we happy at the level that it's currently at?
Chair, through you, yeah, we are very hopeful it will improve. We have taken some measures, including the use of market forces supplements to some of the posts within the team to try and encourage some additional recruitment in that area. It has been a very challenging area for us. Our lawyers are the one exception that we have to the rule about having to work in the Estie's Elizabeth House 2 days a week. We allow them to work anywhere within the country. But we have struggled. And the question came up yesterday at JC&G. It's not that our pay rates are not in line with other parts of the public sector. It's the firms which tend to pay above what the public sector can pay. Of course, if you're working for a firm, they expect that you work extraordinarily long hours for the firms. That's one of the issues within the public sector. We do have a reasonable work-life balance. So, yeah, we're doing what we can, and we have recently reviewed the law and governance section, particularly more career-graded posts that we referred to earlier, but also the selective use of market forces supplements.
Councillor Parry.
Yes, it was just really a budgetary question, and obviously with the increase to national insurance, how that, what impact that's actually had on your budgetary figures, or were you able to incorporate the increase in the national insurance within the budget?
Mr. Buckland.
Chair, it's been a while since I was a 151 officer, but I know that has been a significant additional cost to the council. We have had some reflection within the settlement from government about those additional costs. We didn't have 100% reimbursed to us, but we did have a proportion of the additional national insurance costs come back to the council from central government. So whilst we've had some help, we haven't had all the help we needed.
And Councillor Shenton.
Just one more, just to look at the head of or housing and revenue and customer services, and moving away from percentage just onto absolute numbers. There, it appears that it's 11 down. Does that seriously impact upon our service in any way?
No, well, no, you're right. It is an area that, again, I could name on one hand the areas where we've struggled. Revenues assistance, benefits assistance. Crikey, it was about 12 years ago that the government announced the launch of universal credit. And I remember I was at Wyre Forest Council at the time, and I went down to talk to the team. This new system's coming out, and it's going to be here really soon. It's been the slowest rollout ever, to be fair, and we have struggled to recruit staff into a profession, especially the benefits side of it, which is reducing. And ultimately, at least for working age claimants, the idea is that you'll be on universal credit, you wouldn't be receiving effectively housing benefit. So that has been an area where we've used a specialist. You were talking earlier about the agency workers. We receive agency support from a company called Stratford-on-Avon, which is provided by the supplier of the software that we use. It's a very specialist role. Now, we have tried to, again, turn the corner on this particular issue. We have, particularly in the revenue side, rather than looking to recruit the finished article, recruit staff with transferable skills that we can mould into excellent revenues officers for the council, and that's what we're doing. And we have got a lot more younger blood within the organisation now, which we're training staff on to fulfil those roles. So it has been an area. Hopefully we can see those figures reduce in the next monitoring report.
Okay, any further comments, questions? So the recommendation is that the contents of this report be noted. Could someone propose that? Councillor Junehead, Councillor Littlewood seconding. All those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. I'm assuming there are no questions on the blue paper, in which case there is no urgent business, and I can close the meeting. Thank you for your attendance.